Welcome. Welcome to another episode of Throwing It Back with Sean Farrell. I am Sean Farrell. God is great all the time. All the time, God is great. Let's get into it, shall we? So, the Orlando Magic, who came into the league 1989-90, expansion team, Miami and Charlotte had come in the year before. And then it was Minnesota and Orlando that came in 1990. Okay. So, Brian Hill, who was an assistant coach to Matt Gugukas for those opening years for the Orlando Magic, said expansion is a funny thing. You know you're not going to be very good. Well, check this out. Through the first 14 games of the 89-90 season, the Orlando Magic were actually 7-7, okay? And their first 11 games, they had actually scored over 100 points as well, okay? So, I was looking at their first 14 games of the season, okay, where they were 7-7. They actually beat playoff teams during that head stretch. They defeated the Knicks, who were in the playoffs, the Cavaliers, who were in the playoffs, the 76ers, who made the playoffs. They defeated the Utah Jazz, who made the playoffs. And believe it or not, they actually defeated the Los Angeles Lakers, okay, who made the playoffs that year. And you got to remember something. The Lakers went 60. Well, okay. No. Okay, yeah. Okay, so through the first 14 games, they defeated Knicks playoff team, Cavaliers playoff team, Sixers playoff team, Utah Jazz playoff team, and so yeah, through the first 14 games, they were 7-7. Okay, and believe it or not, they actually defeated the Los Angeles Lakers. Okay, early in the season. The Lakers, who went 63-19 that year. Okay. The Orlando Magic defeated the Lakers. So, through their first 24 games, they were 9-15. Okay. So, they were 7-7 after 14 games. And people were actually talking playoffs for the Orlando Magic. Okay. They were actually talking playoffs. So how many games did they win for the rest of the year? 11. Yeah. So they were 7-7 after 14. They won 11 games for the rest of the year. Okay, which included a 15-game losing streak towards the end of the year. Okay, so yeah, they finished 18-64. After starting to 7-7, it's all can play playoffs. Okay, but they defeated some pretty good playoff championship teams. Like I said, they actually beat the Lakers. They actually defeated the Chicago Bulls at home. They defeated the Spurs. Oh man, they actually beat Philadelphia twice that year. Go figure. An expansion team beat Philadelphia twice. See, they won against the Pacers playoff team. Defeated the Knicks twice. Yeah, but out of those 18 wins, oh man. Defeated a lot of playoff / championship teams that year. So through the first couple of years, the Orlando Magic were like building, and they kept their method like very simple. They're just gonna add one piece at a time. So first ever draft pick, Nick Anderson in 89, and you also had veterans on that team: Dave Corzine, Sam Vincent, Reggie Theus, Otis Smith. Had a rookie by the name of Michael Ansley, Terry Catlich, Jerry Reynolds. Who else? Who else? Jeff Turner was on that team, and Scott Skiles. And so they're consistently adding pieces every year. Then in the 1990 draft, they draft 3D, DeHennis Scott, and the Orlando Magic improved by 11 games in 91. They went 31-51 that year. So that was a vast improvement. And they actually started out the 91-92 season at 3-0. But just a rash of injuries hit the Orlando Magic. And they ended up going 21-61. And they signed one of their best defensive players in the Shaq Penny years, Anthony Bowie, during the 91-92 season. They picked Anthony Bowie up from the CBA. And the Orlando Magic had a 17-game losing streak that year. Then that's the year they got Shaq, of course. Then they turned it around, 41-41. So Shaq's rookie year. You had Shaq, Nick Anderson, 3D, Greg Kite, veteran, Terry Catlich, veteran, Jerry Reynolds, Jerry Ice Reynolds was still on that team. You had Steve Kerr, believe it or not. Had a guy by the name of Laterio Green, who y'all may not remember. But you have to be a real basketball junkie to know who Laterio Green is. Nonetheless, also had guys like Tom Tolbert on their roster. Of course, Jeff Turner and Scott Skiles were holdovers from the original team in 89-90, and Nick Anderson too. So they went 41-41 that year. And Orlando missed the playoffs by about this much. Okay. What it came down to was percentage points. And they lost a tiebreaker with the Indiana Pacers. And they lost a tiebreaker with the Indiana Pacers that went back to the preseason, okay? So the Indiana Pacers got in to the 93 playoffs by percentage points, okay? So the Indiana Pacers made the playoffs by percentage points. And it really showed because they got their asses kicked by the Knicks 3-1 in the first round. So, but yeah, percentage points separated the Pacers making the playoffs from the Orlando Magic not making the playoffs. Okay. Then they get Penny Hardaway. Their first 50-win season. Ironically, they get swept by Orlando. They got swept by Indiana in the first round. And they acquire Horace Grant. Then they acquire Horace Grant for 94 and 95. And went 57-25 that year. And they go 57-25. But I would say 75-80% of those wins were at home, because they went 39-2 at home. Yes, they were. Orlando was 39-2 at home. And at that time, that was right next to the Boston Celtics, who went 40-1 at home in 85-86. Okay. So, home cooking for the Orlando Magic, 57-25. But they ended the season losing like 4 straight on the road. Okay, they lost 4 straight on the road, and but they defeated the Celtics 3-1. Defeated another team in the Eastern Conference semifinals, who I shall not have a name. For those of you who are NBA historians, you know he beat the Jordan Bulls in 6 games. Then they defeated the Pacers in 7 games. I remember vividly the best game of the series was Game 4. That was the best game of the series. And I can remember me and my brothers, we were watching it. I was pulling for Orlando. I was pulling for Orlando. They were pulling for Indiana. And so Brian Hill recalls telling Tree Rollins, he said, "Hey Tree, Rick is going to shot fake you. Whatever you do, don't go for a hood pump fake. Tree, whatever you do, don't go for a hood pump fake. Do not go for the pump fake." Well, the inbound humps the ball. Rick pump fakes. Tree go host for it. Series tied 2-2. Believe it or not, Tree Rollins actually had a sense of humor about that. During the documentary that they made, this magic moment. Okay, but yeah, so they defeated the Indiana Pacers in 7 to advance to the NBA Finals to face a defending champion Rockets. Okay, and I remember watching the documentary This Magic Moment. Okay, and the Orlando Magic were at practice for the NBA Finals, and Horace Grant was talking. in the background. He said, nobody on that team knew what to expect but Horace. And Horace said, so when I say enjoy it, because you never know when you'll get back, Horace said, I don't mean stay out till like 3-4 o'clock in the morning. But while Horace was talking, okay, they showed the Orlando Magic practicing for the NBA Finals, and they were shooting free throws, okay? So they were at practice shooting free throws. Guess who was shooting free throws in practice? Take a wild guess. If you said Nick Anderson, you are correct. I noticed that, okay? They were shooting free throws in practice, and Nick Anderson was at the line shooting free throws at practice. I said, ironic. And I was watching Nick Anderson shoot free throws in practice, and needless to say, he missed it. Go figure, okay? Go figure, okay? Anybody who knows NBA history knows Nick Anderson missed 4 free throws at the end of game 1, okay? And then, of course, Olajuwon tips it back in the overtime. Rockets go on a sweep. And so, Shaq injured his thumb pre-season. And the burden fell on Hardaway. And they went 17-5 to start the year without Shaq. They went 17-5 that year. Ended up finishing 16-22 that year. But there was infighting. There was egos, infighting, reputations. Lil Penny came abroad. Then you had, of course, the tension between Shaq and Penny. Then you had Leonard Armando. Then you had the Popson brothers, Kevin, who who was Penny Hardaway's agent. And there's just a lot of muddled waters. And if you recall, Shaquille O'Neal actually had a situation during the season where his grandmother died. So he took a few days. But he was seen like partying a few days later or doing something, which didn't help the cause. And they were playing the Bulls on a Sunday, NBA on NBC. They were playing the Bulls on a Sunday, and Shaquille O'Neal arrived late. And it was just a shaky situation. It was just a shaky situation. And but like I said, finished the season 61-82. Defeated the Pistons in 3. Defeated the Hawks in 5. Got swept by the Bulls in 4. And so it was during that offseason where Shaq, of course, signed with the Lakers that offseason. And Shaq recalls the moment. I think the Magic. Well, I don't know what the Magic offered him. I can't recall what the Magic offered him at first, but it was a pretty good offer. Then ESPN, who ESPN report came on, and it said Alonzo Mourning signs for like $100 million. Shaq saw that. It's like, no. If Alonzo gets like 110, 112, I'm getting at least more than Alonzo. And so they lowballed him early, they lowballed him late. So and that pretty much sums up the time with the Orlando Shaq's end with the Orlando Magic. That it was Penny's team, and man, if Penny didn't have knee injuries, man, oh my God, man, that's something that I do think about. That's something I do think about. Okay, I mean, with your kids, I mean, believe me, when I was a Bulls fan, okay? I was a Bulls fan. And I hated the Orlando Magic. Absolutely hated the Orlando Magic, okay? I hated the Orlando Magic. And I was mad when they beat the Bulls in 95. And but you get older, and you grow out. You grow up, okay? But nonetheless, what could have been if it wasn't for Penny Hardaway's knee injuries. What could have been if it wasn't for Penny Hardaway's knee injuries, man. And knee injuries just wrecked his career. And it was just sad. It was just sad and heartbreaking to see. But another player who lost his career to injuries, Grant Hill. Yeah. Here's the thing about it though. Grant Hill actually had about 6 productive years. 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 2000. Grant Hill actually had 6 productive years. Okay. Grant Hill had 6 productive years. And it wasn't until he signed with, ironically, Orlando, that his prime was stolen his prime was stolen from Grant Hill. Okay. And so Grant Hill had 6 years of high productivity. Penny Hardaway had 4 years of high productivity before his prime was stolen. So, but yeah, man, you thought they were going to be together for the next 10 years. Shaq and Kobe were. Shaq and Kobe. Oh, Lord have mercy. I just said Shaq and Kobe. I'm just going to have to take that one. That's a blue Uber right there. Okay. Anyway, so you figured that Shaq and Penny were set up for about the next 10 years. And Ahmad Rashad was talking about the 95 finals. He said, often the one team who loses says, if we don't get it this year, well, we have about a million other chances after this, as opposed to the team that wins it who says, if we don't get them now, we're never going to get them. Okay. And Ahmad Rashad said that's what he thought the Houston Rockets had over the Orlando Magic. And, but yeah, and Shaq and Penny were actually talking about this at the beginning of the documentary. They were sitting poolside talking. And Penny said, what if you wouldn't had left? And then Shaq said, what if you wouldn't have gotten injured? And then they were like, yeah. And then Shaq said, a lot of what ifs. A lot of what ifs. So, and I thought this was a poignant end. This was a ending that was kind of appropriate. At the end of the documentary, this magic moment, Nick Anderson said, but in life, there are long stories and there are short stories. And he said the Orlando Magic were a short story. Okay, so yeah, Nick Anderson said there are long stories and short stories. And unfortunately for the Orlando Magic, we were a short story. Yeah, so. No. That's all I got. Yeah, that's all I got. Yeah, that's all I got. I was going to talk about something else, but I'll discuss it on a later episode. Okay. All right. That's it, and that's all for Throwing It Back with Sean Farrell. Thank you for watching. I will see you all later. Peace out, y'all.